Me 30F, wondering whether I should tell a close friend 30M that he shouldn't marry his fiancée 27F. I am not the OOP. OOP is you/wedding whistleblower me 30F. Wondering whether I should tell a close friend 30M that he shouldn't marry his fiancée 27F. Original post Aug 11, 2014. Apologies in advance for the wall of text. I have known my friend, we'll call him Mark, since college. We're very close and hang out together pretty regularly. Mark has been with his fiancée, let's call her Laura, since grad school, about 6-7 years. Mark and Laura have been engaged for 2 years and will be married in a month. I know, not much time here. For the first few years of the relationship, I had zero problems with Laura. She seemed a bit shy and reserved, which is unusual for our group of friends, but otherwise seemed like a fine partner for Mark. Indeed, my only reservation was actually that Mark, having a strong personality and being an overly rational, intellectual, argumentative person, sometimes seemed to run roughshod over Laura. Over the last 2 or 3 years, Laura has opened up a bit more, and initially that was really great. My girlfriend, Julie, and Laura became closer and started hanging out, and the 4 of us would go out regularly, either just us or with other friends. It was actually pretty great. Recently, however, we started noticing that there are some key issues with their relationship that make us, and other friends, actually, wonder whether they should be together at all. Now that we know Laura better, we've realized she's insanely insecure and anxious. She is constantly complaining about minor things about the wedding, including his parents' small requests and even the nice things they do for her. We've watched them argue about pretty personal stuff, and she is pretty happy to air their dirty laundry and complain incessantly about things that it's clear he'd rather discuss in private. She also has been somewhat cruel and unfair to him in our presence. Finally, and here's the key thing, they seem to have a pretty fundamental disagreement about a key issue in their relationship. Think something as fundamental as whether or not to have kids. With him being in the firm, yes, I want to do this, and I need a partner who will at least consider it, camp, and her being in the I am saying I'll consider it, but I'm pretty sure I'm ultimately going to not want to do this, and that you're kind of an a-hole for asking me to do it in the first place. The argument issue is fairly specific, and so I don't want to give more details for fear of identifying them. In addition, they've been arguing, seemingly nonstop, for what seems like over a year, with Laura regularly complaining to my girlfriend that she's miserable, anxious, stressed, etc., because of various relationship issues. Mark is not a complainer, but we know he is similarly not happy. These are issues that, in our mind, are part of Mark's personality that won't change, and Laura knows they will not change. For instance, Mark has long-term close female friends whose friendship he prioritizes highly. Laura thinks their interactions are inappropriate, and that he puts their needs above hers, but Mark has been clear that his interactions with them will not change. Mark also has a difficult, time-consuming career and doesn't have much time to do household chores or spend time alone with Laura. Again, this is not something that will change anytime soon. Another big issue is Laura believes some of Mark's fundamental values have changed over the course of their relationship, things she admired and found attractive about him initially, and that now she doesn't like very much. As I said, my girlfriend and I have been seeing these issues for some time, and they came to a head recently, when we both sort of told them that they should think about postponing the wedding. They acknowledged that they had thought about it and said they had a good long talk and decided they wanted to go ahead with it. They said they discussed all their issues and talked them through and come to a consensus. We trusted that they had and sort of shrugged our shoulders. It may be worth noting that although Mark was able to discuss this in a level-headed way, Laura's response was to sort of withdraw for a few weeks and stop talking to us, hanging out with us, and to make it clear to our other friends that she was doing this because we didn't support their marriage. She later acknowledged that the reason she did this was because she felt there was some truth to what we were saying, and hanging out with us upset her because it brought those feelings up again when she was trying to get over them. Just this weekend, We saw them argue again, including about that fundamental question I noted above, and it was clear that they are still in very different places, still unhappy, and still arguing constantly. It was also clear and upsetting that Laura was basically including us in the argument so she could badmouth Mark and try to get us on her side. Not only was it not working, because we think he's more in the right than she is, but it was also incredibly callous and hurtful to Mark, and she didn't seem to care. We've gotten to the point where it's actually hard to spend time with Laura. My girlfriend doesn't like her at all. I'm fine spending time with her, but really feel that they are not a good match and that they're going to make each other unhappy. At the very least, I feel they need to postpone this wedding until they actually have come to a place where they derive happiness from the relationship, as opposed to this constant fighting about things large and small. The question is, should I talk to Mark about this? I've already shared some of what I'm thinking and been told everything is fine, but this time I might be a little more open and also tell him that I'm happy to handle some of the logistical post-wedding canceling stuff, calling people, whatever, if that's something that's weighing on him. TL, Doctor, I don't think my friend should marry his fiancé. Should I tell him? Update. See Julie's comment below also. Julie U/Samanamis Juliano Julie I am the Julie in question. I would add this to what my love, the original poster said. While we have sort of told them they should think about postponing the wedding, that was in a very light-handed way, hoping to spark a conversation, and took place almost a year ago, long before lots of new and troubling information arose. If we were to have the conversation now, it would be far clearer, far more detailed, and include a lot of things that we didn't know at that time. In other words, the first conversation was, have you guys talked about postponing the wedding? And this one would be, do not marry this woman. She is awful, she doesn't even like you, you're unhappy, and it's only going to get worse. Perhaps this is a rationalization, but I truly believe that he does not know that we think this wedding is a bad idea, and he definitely does not know that we actively dislike his fiancée. I frankly struggle to see how we will be able to have the kind of friendship we used to have with Mark if they go through with it. That's not a threat. It's her or us. It's just reality. As original poster said, I cannot stand Laura for more than a few minutes at a time. I cannot help but take everything she says in the most negative possible light, seeing every comment as confirmation of my bad opinion of her, and I hate the way she treats him. I don't know if I'll be able to treat her with the kind of respect and kindness that is required of even having a decent relationship with her husband. I can already see myself avoiding spending time with them as a result. Even conversations that have nothing to do with this are tinged by awkwardness, not just on our end, but on theirs, because they know we see the problems, even if they don't know how upset we are by them. Ultimately, I'm leaning away from saying something. I think that there is such a small likelihood of a good result, him calling off the wedding, and such a high likelihood of a bad result. She comes to hate us and it dooms our relationship with him, and or causes her to badmouth us to mutual friends, that I think it's a bad idea. As a side note, I don't put any weight on the let them make their own decisions responses here because that's so obvious it's not worth worrying about. Of course, they get to make their own decision. We're not going to actively try and stop the marriage if they go through with it. The question is whether what we have to say should be involved in that decision or not, because we love him and have perspective on it that he doesn't. Update Jan 18, 2015. 5 months later. So, Julie and I took the advice of most people here and kept our mouths shut about our feelings about Laura. We were enthusiastic at the wedding and went out of our way to be gracious and kind to her in the run up to it and after. The wedding went off without a hitch, and drop your verdict in the comments. Wait, what?